What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you happen to be tuning in. So you joined me today. I thought I would do a little sit down video, which I thought might be fun for you guys to watch. It certainly was not fun for me to plan this and make this, but I thought today, let's sit down and go over everything I spent in my 2025 bodybuilding prep. So, in case you're new here, let's do a little debrief. First of all, hi, I'm Emma. I'm an NPC wellness athlete, and I just competed in my second ever season, and it was my first season as an NPC wellness competitor. I competed in May and June this year. I started my prep in the middle of December. And I did 3 shows in total. I did the Muscle Contest Ireland, where I won the regional overall, and then came second in the Pro Qualifier in Open Class C. I did the Amateur Olympia, where I came second in Open Class C, and then I did the Empro Classic in Alicante, where I came first in Open Class C. So that's the 3 shows that I did, and obviously I was on prep for what, like 6.5, 7 months, and I just thought this video would be kind of insightful because anyone I ever speak to about bodybuilding, anyone who's ever interested in getting into the sport, I always say, you need to make sure financially you're in a good position because prep is expensive. And now that I look back, I see how expensive it was. It was not cheap. And there's, you know, I've made videos about like what to expect in a prep, how much it might cost, but there's hidden shit that you might not be thinking about. And I just thought this would be a fun video to make. Honestly, like, it's not valuable, it's not insightful, it's really just entertaining. You can just laugh at my misfortune. Is it misfortune? Not really. I spent the money, but I am just gonna like put a disclaimer out there. First of all, I'm a bodybuilding coach, bodybuilding content creator, I guess you could say. Not really, but like my business is bodybuilding, which means everything from my prep I did pay for with my business. Okay, I'm just gonna be so real, which means this is helping me get my tax bill down. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. And also, like, I don't spare any expense in prep. Like, I'm very privileged, and I understand that, to be in a position where I don't have to. Like, I'm very grateful to earn the living that I earn, which means that I can't fund this. Bodybuilding is my life. It is my hobby. I don't really spend money on other things, you know, like, yeah, I go on a holiday once or twice a year, but like, I don't go out and party. I don't buy extravagant shit. I might go out for food with my fiance every week. Like, that's honestly the extent of it, but like, really, this is my whole life, so I don't mind spending the money on it, but I just think it is so important to be aware if you're going into a prep, like how quickly these things can add up, and especially if you're competing internationally, as that's where a lot of these costs come from, and then especially if you're competing with the NPC, which I would argue, aside from WBFF, is definitely the most expensive federation to compete with. Okay, so I have everything. I have a little spreadsheet up on my laptop. So I'm literally just gonna go through every single, like, and I will say, right, like, there's definitely stuff on here that I have forgotten, but I have tried to remember everything, so we can probably add some money to this bill. Like, even during my prep, for example, like, I flew to Manchester a couple of times to visit my coach in person. I haven't actually put that in here. I mean, I could have, but I was like, you know what, I'll just leave it for like the prep itself and then everything to do with the shows. Okay, so before we get into the video, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to comment down below your guess as to how much I spent on my bodybuilding prep. Okay, before I go into it, how much you think it was, and then at the end you can find out if you're right. So let's get into it. So, right, first thing when it comes to prep that everybody's going to have to pay for is coaching. So obviously I pay my coach Christian every month, have done for the last over 2 years, will always pay him. But just for the prep alone, in terms of how much I spent on coaching with him, it came to €1,680. So that's just my coaching for the 7-month prep, okay? The next thing I had then was my registration with the NPC. So to register with the NPC in Europe anyway, it is €130. I believe it's a bit more expensive in the States. I think I've heard people say it's $200, but in Europe anyway, for NPC Worldwide membership, it's €130. You have to pay that every year that you're going to compete. So if I'm not competing next year, so I won't pay for it next year, but I'll have to pay for it again in 2027, okay? So now I'm going to go through like each of the shows by themselves and discuss the costs of each of those shows, okay? So let's start with the Muscle Contest Ireland, because that was the first show that I did. It was like, what, the 17th of May, and that was in the RDS in Dublin. So with the Muscle Contest, it was a regional and a pro qualifying show. So I had to pay to enter the regional show, I had to do that so that I would then be allowed to participate in the pro qualifier. That's the rules of the NPC. You must do a regional show in your country, if they have one, so that you can then do pro qualifiers internationally. So between the two classes, I believe the registration for the regional was €150, and then the registration for the pro qualifier was €250. So that totaled €450. Okay. Muscle Contest. I've said this, like, anybody who's like watching my videos, not a fan of that show, like, don't really, wouldn't do it again. Very expensive. So Muscle Contest, to have a backstage pass for your coach, was €400. €400. Now I paid it because that was my first show in well over 2 years. I was already nervous as fuck. I wanted Christian backstage. In my opinion, to ask anybody to pay that much money for a backstage pass is fucking ridiculous, but I paid it anyway, so that was €400. Next then we have my tan for the Muscle Contest. So I always get my tan done at shows. It feels safer. Like, I'm well used to doing fake tan. Like, I did my own fake tan for probably 10 years. And I know people who do it with pro tan themselves and they get great results, but I just don't want to risk it, you know what I mean? So I just always get it with whoever's the like provider of the show, because realistically, if you're getting it from the same person who's tanning everybody, your color is going to be the same as everybody else. So my tan, it was pro tan that time. It was $172.50. I believe mine cost a little bit more because I think I like paid extra to like get my slot early or something. I don't even remember. I probably didn't need to pay that, but like I freak out about these things, and I'm like, if there's like a convenient option, like I'll pay extra for the convenient option, you know what I mean? Then we have our photographs for the Muscle Contest. So the photography, backstage, backstage, the side of stage and front of stage photography. So that was €155. The next thing then with the Muscle Contest, so the next thing and the first thing, I need to stop saying things like that. I got my show weekends documented by a videographer. So he took photos, he was there from one day out, and he did like the whole video. So that was €690. Videographers are not cheap, and they shouldn't be, because they're like, he was fantastic. So like, you know, but just, that was an extra expense. Again, you probably don't need to do that, right? I just wanted to. I have a YouTube channel. I wanted to have it, and I also didn't want to have to be worrying about doing it myself. You know what I mean? Then we had accommodation for the Muscle Contest. So I stayed in it was like the Ballsbridge Suites. I believe we stayed there from the night of 2 days out, 1 day out, and then the night after the show. So 3 nights for myself and Shane. That was €670, because accommodation in Dublin is absolutely crazy money. Obviously, I live in Spain, so I had to fly home to do that show, and my flights for that were €480, because obviously it was like coming into the summer, they are a little bit more expensive, okay? Then we have the Muscle Contest. I got a pre-stage treatment. So basically that's just like kind of lymphatic drainage massage type thing. That was €100. And then I have just written down like Muscle Contest other costs. I'm pretty sure this was just like some of the passes and stuff backstage. Again, I can't remember exactly what that was, but we're just gonna like take it for what it is, because I'm sure I didn't make this up. But I mean, even if I took this off the final bill, it's still ridiculous. But that was €500, okay? I then also had to rent a car while I was home, so that was €426. And then I paid for food while I was there. So I did, I think, just one food shop, but that came to €203, because obviously I had to buy everything I needed for those few days so that I could eat. So that was like all the costs associated with just that show. All right, so I'm going to do all the shows, and then I'll do all the like other stuff that you have to pay for throughout prep. So the next show that I did was the Alicante Amateur Olympia. Fantastic show. I had the best time at that. So to register for just my class at the Amateur Olympia was €350, right? So to like pro qualifiers are expensive, as one thing I will say, right? Like The muscle contest was only 250, but both the Amateur Olympia and the M-Pro, they were about 350. And that was just for one class. I only did open class C. Like, I didn't do, I mean, I couldn't have done novice at that point because I'd won an overall, but I didn't do novice in the muscle contest. But yeah, €350 for just the one class. My tan for the Amateur Olympia was €115. My passes, so my coach pass, my backstage pass for the Amateur Olympia was €150. Photography and videography was €190. My accommodation was €976. So we stayed in El Plantio Golf Resort, which is like the best place to stay if you're ever doing those shows. It's the best place. And that was for like a 3-bed apartment for me, Shane, Gaz, the videographer, and Christian as well. So for like 3 or 4 nights, I think that's actually pretty reasonable. Like, the place was stunning. If you guys have watched the show day videos, you know. Then we had flights because we flew to the Amateur Olympia. We actually drove to the M-Pro, but for the Amateur Olympia, the flights, obviously they were within Spain, so it was €145 for them. Pre-stage treatment for the Amateur Olympia was €180, and car rental for the Amateur Olympia was €290. And finally, food I spent that weekend was €211.37. Very specific. I was able to, this is a good thing because I paid for everything with the business. I can look back and see, right? So then we have the M-Pro. To be honest, all these costs are basically the exact same. There's just a few differences. So M-Pro registration, €350. Tan was €130, so I think I maybe paid for like an extra layer or whatever. Again, passes for the M-Pro, I paid for €150 for Christian, and then €200 for Alex, the videographer, who was there. So that came to €350 total. For the photography, videography, the stage, that was €190. The YouTube video, so my YouTube video for that was €2,115, so that was definitely a big cost. So if you're trying to keep the cost down for your prep, don't get videographers to come and do them. But like, again, would I trade it? No. I actually, like, I rewatch my show day videos sometimes because I just get so excited to do it again. And like, it's something that I know I will cherish that forever, so it's not a problem. And again, I will always like pay somebody for their work, you know, like Alex is incredible, so worth every single cent, right? Accommodation for M-Pro, it was €882, so it was a tiny bit cheaper. We drove to the M-Pro Classic because we live in Marbella. It was in Alicante, so for fuel and stuff like that, I've just put down about €200 because I'm pretty sure that's kind of, it was like €100 up and then €100 back, there or thereabouts. Again, pre-stage treatment with Monica, that was €180, and then food at the M-Pro Classic was €230. So that's like all the costs associated with the weekend itself, in terms of registering, passes, tan, staying there, accommodation, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so now I want to go into just like the couple of things that are like you're going to pay for throughout your prep, right? So first thing is the bikinis. So I had 2 bikinis. I had my red bikini and I had my pink purple bikini. They were from Nat at Time to Shine. I fucking loved them. They were incredible, but bikinis are expensive, as they should be. They are, like, if you see one in real life, you can see how much time goes into making them. But my bikinis cost me, for both of them, €760. So that means each was about 380, I believe. So again, not cheap. Cheaper than my figure suits, I will say. My figure suits were nearly €500 when I did my 2022 season. So, you know, do wellness because you'll spend less. Then we have my stage heels. So I have the Shoe Fairy Olympians, I don't know what, I think it's like, is it goddess ones? They've got like the crystals all over them. And I also bought my robe from the Shoe Fairy as well. So that came for both of them to €193. Pretty sure I had to pay customs on top of that, but I haven't accounted for that because I can't remember what that was. Then we also have my jewellery, and like when I was buying my jewellery, so I bought like a couple of pairs of earrings, a few bracelets, a few rings, but I also bought loads of the Pro Tan Get Buffed to get my tan off, as well as a few tubs of the Rose and Caramel tan remover, and a few other like accessories and stuff like that from Compaq. I think I bought like the glue and stuff. So that order in total came to €170. Then I also got blood work twice throughout my prep because obviously I'm an assisted athlete. You have to get your blood work done. So that was €360 for both times. So it's €180 each time. Then we have my gym memberships. So I was a member of 3 gyms during my prep. So I had my gym Elements that I trained in. I also trained in M13 in Marbella twice a week. And then I also had my gym that's like beside me where I went and did my cardio every day because it's literally 2 minutes away. So that was €55. So each month I was spending €205 on my gym memberships. So if we were to multiply that by 7, that comes down to €1,435 on gym memberships, which is, again, just absolutely atrocious. So I hope you've been able to keep track of that. Maybe you haven't. I have. And I have, obviously I've done it on my spreadsheet. So I can just do sum total. So. Oh my God. I spent all this money and I didn't even get a pro card. You have to laugh at yourself. That was never my goal. But like, all that money, all this money, and I got some nice medals. I got a trophy. And you know what? I wouldn't take it back. I had the best time prepping. But all that being said, my total that I spent on this prep, I'm actually so embarrassed to say it, €16,161.29. What? What do you mean I spent 16 grand on my prep? Oh my God. Oh my God. And like I'm very blessed. Like, for example, I didn't have to pay for posing because I have the most incredible posing sponsor, Sanaya Limitless Flow Posing. She is incredible. Go and be posed by her because she made me look elegant and I am a fucking giraffe. But like, that would have added another €150 to €200 a month, which would have been another like 1,500. If you're interested in a coach, please sign up because I need to fucking get this money back. Joking. I'm kind of at my capacity, so that does help. That does help. But yeah. Now you can see what I mean when I say prep isn't cheap. And if you are wanting to prep, make sure that you are financially in a good place. Now, where are some places that you can save money? Because I might as well give you some value after absolutely outing myself. Is I didn't spend any money on hair and makeup, okay? Now, I did spend some money on some makeup bits. Again, I could have included that. I didn't. It was maybe 50 quid, right? I always do my hair and makeup myself because I like doing it. I like how my own makeup turns out for stage, and I know what suits me and I know what I like. And even just when it comes to appointment times, I don't want to be up at 6 a.m. for an appointment and then I'm not on stage till 3 or 8 p.m. like I was at the Amateur Olympia, right? So I always will go for my own hair and makeup. But again, that could be an extra €200 to €250 for each show. Again, you could do your own tan if you felt comfortable doing it. You don't have to get fucking photographers and videographers to go and do it, right? Actually, do you know what? I've just realised there's stuff that I forgot there because maybe I included that in the accommodation for the muscle contest, but actually I paid for Christian's hotel when he came for the muscle contest. He paid for his own flights. He paid for gas for the second show, and then I paid for the videographers at the other two shows. So again, like there's stuff there, and that's kind of like, that's just how we liked to do it. You can obviously not compete internationally. Like the biggest things that added to those were probably the videos and then probably all the travel. So like if you can do your shows locally, great. You know, again, I even know next time, well, you know, because I know exactly what shows I'm going to do next time I compete, the same ones, because I absolutely love them. I will stay in the exact same place, but now we know this time we can just drive rather than like getting flights the next time. But I might do other shows as well. You know, I might do Poland or Portugal or something like that. But competing internationally and competing in NPC really drives up the cost. You know, your federations like PCA, WMBF, they are much cheaper, okay? It's still expensive. Like, you really, I would say, I know I spent 16 grand. And again, I would say, including like the trips to Manchester, stuff like that, you know, I did YouTube videos while I was there. 20 grand? 25. Please sign up for coaching. It's fine, this is why I'm not prepping next year. Because I have a wedding to pay for. Like, I spent as much on my prep as like some people spend on a wedding. My wedding is going to be much more expensive, but it's one of those things. People don't like to talk about money. I don't really either, but like, I think this is good. Like, that's funny. Like, what? Didn't even win. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for me. Just goes to show I must really love this sport. But yeah, compete locally. That helps a lot. You know, stay in a cheaper hotel. Obviously, I didn't need to stay in the fucking golf resort, but I wanted to. I loved it. We were on our holidays. Again, I wouldn't like trade any of that, like, at all. But yeah, it really puts, it's jarring. Jarring is the word that I used when I first, like I was kind of going through the list and I was like, I wonder how much it's all going to be. And I put in the total and I was like, that's a lot. It's a lot. But it's fine because I don't do anything. I have no other hobbies. So, like, you know, I can justify it. And again, it means I'm saving 16 grand on my tax bill, so. Don't tell revenue. They are business expenses. They are all, like, that was all in the pursuit of me growing my business. So it's fine. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've gotten a good laugh out of that, because I certainly haven't, and I am dying inside. But I don't know, motivates me to just work harder and make sure the next time I prep I fucking do win a pro card, at least make it worth it. If I don't next time, I'm never competing again. I can't spend that money. Like, I could buy a horse. Anyway, I hope we're all laughing at my misery collectively. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Kind of short, kind of sweet. Well, somewhat short and sweet. For me, about 20 minutes is very short and sweet. Of course, if you are ever interested in coaching, links are down below. Would love to have you on the team, and not just because I'm trying to recoup all my losses, but because I actually do love working with competitors and putting them on stage, and lifestyle girls as well. I obviously have my whole team of coaches working under me, so, you know, we have space for everybody. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give it a like, give it a comment, and of course, if you did, guess down below. I mean, I'm going to see how close you were or how far off you were, but I appreciate you if you did. And of course, so share it on your social media. Maybe you should. Maybe this is a video I don't want people seeing, honestly. And yes, thank you for giving me your attention, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.